right at you?
Anywhere you want.
Not that close.
No, not that close.
You don't want to be that close.
But he
You guys don't throw things or hit, do you?
Oh, crap, I gotta. Call meeting to order, town board meeting Friday, October 25th, 2024, 4 p.m. located at the Palmyra Town Hall, W 1125, Highway 106, Palmyra. Roll call.
Kayevsky,
Here.
Martins,
Here.
Sauter.
Here. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good afternoon, everybody. Certification of compliance with open meetings law.
Yes, I certify that I posted it on the website and on the board.
Number one, discussion of possible direction regarding 2025 budget, including discussion on request to exceed levy limit borrowings and any other matters related to the 2025 town budget finances. All yours, Josh.
Alright, there's really two pieces to go over here. Start at the top on revenues. I'll make this one tick bigger, but where we are at the moment is a proposed levy of $528,020, which puts us $145,000 in the hole. I have revised the proceeds from that number down. We've been playing the entire, we've been playing the entire time with having the LRIP money, because it's money in, money out, as something aside. So I've revised that. That's what this amount up at the top. If you look, $31,145.50. That's our LRIP contribution. Okay, so
That's going to be for Tamarack Road.
correct. Yeah. So that amount was put in. That amount was not put in. Let's put that thing in. That amount was put in under highway bridge. The revenue stream from the LRIP funding is now shown here. We had a zero placeholder before, so reduce the revenue on one, increase the revenue on the other. Then all the way down at the bottom, this is probably the thing that's going to take most of the conversation. We were at, I think, 87,000-ish the last meeting of what we had estimated the debt service payment to be.
No, we estimated 150. I had to put that in there. Remember that?
No, but in any event,
Yeah.
taking this box and blowing it out into a spreadsheet. I'm going to show you what it's all about, and then we can go through the details. I chatted with Kim at the bank, I don't know, Monday of this week maybe, sometime this week in any event. Our loan structure is set to run for 4 years. Okay. Total of $600,000 is what we can draw as we want. Each year on July 30th, there is a payment that is due. Okay, $150,000 each year that is due of the principal.
What about the interest?
If we were to pull, if we would have pulled $600,000 in August, we would pay back 150, 150, 150, 150. Okay, that's not my notes. That's the TV remote.
When would we pay the interest?
The interest is also due on July 30th of each year. So this gets a little funky dunk, but this right here is our daily interest rate per what we draw. Per dollar.
I get it. Maybe you'll get to it and do just somebody be quiet.
Be quiet.
But
So on the 150 that we drew already, there will be technically 363 days between the time we drew it and the time we pay it back, and the interest that is due is $9,075 on top of the 150 that we have to pay back. cents in July of 2025 if we do not draw any additional money. Okay? I went through and I put in generally applicable but somewhat fictitious numbers in here to be able to walk through this. At the end of the year, I'm going to rewind a minute here. At the end of the year, we are anticipating to get to zero up here on our budget, that we will have to borrow a total of $265,981. If we borrow less, we go in the red. Okay? So,
Because we're paying off more on the, road construction.
because we're gonna have to pay out at some point
Right.
road construction. Theoretically, our budget from an operational standpoint also includes that we have 6 snowfalls between now and our December meeting. We're starting to push the envelope on that, right? Like maybe it snows 6 times in November, maybe it doesn't. But our budget was drafted to show that through the end of the year, we were going to spend an additional $33,000 on ice and snow. Okay, so to just keep with the proposed piece of the puzzle, we would borrow $115,981, which goes into that square there. Okay, using the theory that at our December meeting on December 9th, when we go to pay the bills, Michelle needs the money to pay those bills, right? Run that out 233 days to get to July 30th of 2025. There's the interest rate for the remainder to borrow this year. Taking it 2 steps farther into 2025, and this is completely up to the board realistically. We've talked about, are we going to close this initial note and open something different?
That's interesting.
Correct. I'm going to say the worst case scenario for us is that we use this 6% interest loan through 2025. Anything is going to be better if we change, right? The other thing is that are we going to see the timeline for road expenditures? This $185,000 I've got set up to be paid at the June meeting of 25, and that would get us through the rest of Farmer's scope.
Through the rest of what?
Farmer's
Oh,
scope
Farmer,
of work
yeah.
for crack sealing, chip sealing, that type of thing. Okay,
And I know those dates are fluid, you put the date of our meeting.
correct.
In order to use the fund to pay it on that meeting, you have to get it from the day before that.
Either that or Michelle gets the money the day after and writes the check on a Thursday. So I just used a number that was on a calendar that made sense.
Right.
The last piece of the puzzle is it's actually, the last piece is technically 2 pieces. The last piece of the puzzle is $149,019, right? That gets us to that limit of $600,000. What we are short, technically, is an additional $44,835.50 to pay Tamarack. Okay? So Tamarack is this number and, well, you can't really see it, but this row here, 149, and an additional, let's call it 45 right here.
I don't see it. Right there.
Well, because it doesn't highlight nice and green like that one does, because it's already shaded green. Sorry, type A. So, using those 2 dates for draw 3 and draw 4, the equivalent interest is shown here. July, if we draw all of it at that schedule, the interest that's due in July of next year is $15,549.12, plus or minus a couple bucks.
And that's
Okay?
where you come up with the 165.
So the 165 includes the $150,000 principal payment plus the interest that's due.
What was the rate?
6. So that 165, we're gonna hop back here in a minute, but that 165 shows up down at the bottom, 165,549. Okay, that's our debt service payment.
Correct.
Okay. Additional things, and this we can get into in a second here, but this $45,000 that we're short, we're gonna have to borrow somewhere, somehow, or not do the project, right? I use the exact same terms of the existing
Or get the
loan.
tax levy.
Correct. Okay, I use the exact same terms and terminology to figure out what the interest would be for those 2 periods, right? So this is multiplied by our daily rate times 360. And this, actually, this should turn into not 60. Oh, no, hang on. Anything that comes due after July 14th, our meeting, which is when we run short of money essentially, would be a note that we pay in 26. Took me a second to remember how I did this. So this payment schedule would be 26, 27, 28, right? Principal and interest for 3 years, that's why I've got 360 days in there. I took this payment, divided it by 3 to get the same kind of equivalent structure of the rate, put it all together. Yeah, we can get to all this stuff later on.
Go to the right, if you would, please. And the so 165 and 25, you're saying that goes to 186
Correct,
for the next 3 years?
correct.
Where's that math?
So that math is $600,000 borrowed.
Plus these last 2 numbers over here, the 17.
So $600,000 borrowed times 360 days times the daily interest rate plus the 150 we gotta pay back.
Where's mine? Just asking, I'm gonna get to it. That's 40,000 of the 45,000, so you have the 145, where's the other 100 short?
All of the rest of our expenses. No, this has got nothing to do with being short.
Okay,
This has got nothing to do with being short 145.
okay.
This has got only everything to do with borrowing and any of that installment. Okay. Again, if we take the construction out and we take the revenue from the loan out, we're still 145,000 short.
If you don't mind, just, ladies, this is the first meeting you came to. I don't know if you're aware that budget meeting. We did borrow $600,000, and if you follow the stuff posted, letter to the community, about 160,000 of that is because of overage on trees going down. All kinds of trees. I mentioned that a little bit outside, but just overwhelmed us this year. Short drive out there. What's a guess on that? 35,000.
Tree work?
Yeah, probably. I couldn't even drive my pickup truck through from here to past the cemetery over here. That's how low stuff came down. Huge trees coming down on a Saturday. 9 hours, from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., 6 guys up there, that's called a $6,000 tree. That's how big it was. This is the kind of stuff that happened to us this year. All that soft ground and everything, with all the rain. Just let you know, I'm gonna call 2 o'clock in the morning, 6 trees down on Iowa Road. Cars in the middle of them, accident, that kind of stuff happened. It's horrible.
And just for clarity, we've taken a note out for 600,000. We've only drawn 150. At this point, we're only drawing it as we need it. And that's why it's got those 4 different sections there. So we have a note for 600, but we can shut it off at any time if we get a lower interest rates come down or whatever. So we're managing it only on an as needed basis.
Except for the fact we got about, 7 miles of road work, whether it be chip sealing, crack filling, etc. We was talking about, we got a grant for, 31,000, something like that, for the purpose of pulverizing, paving Tamarack Road from the village up around to where he's just about to start going up the hill, right there. So we got a grant, 30 grand, 30 grand. What's next?
You'll get that grant in 25.
He just mentioned that.
We don't have the grant yet, we'll get the grant.
Well, but when you do the work,
The project, the requirements of the grant money is we expend the money and then they reimburse us. So we don't get 31 grand in hand and go spend it. It's a reimbursement. But it's 31,154.
And the total cost of Tamarack, you're estimating?
220.
That's close enough.
Or I think.
yeah, it's not cheaper this year. Part of that too was how much did we spend on Gooseberry Lake Road?
I don't have the invoice in yet, but it's supposed to be around 78,000.
That's our part. The village paid some on their part. It was half and half. They paid about 50 if I remember correctly. So that's what that cost to get that done, 80 and 50, 130, 120, 130 grand, whatever. Yeah. Which.
Oh, 225. It's in my 185,000 left over. So we're 65. It'd be 200, roughly 240,000 to do chip seal, crack fill, and some spray patching on 7 miles of the road we got, and then the 225 would be to repay the 4,200 feet of Tamarack. Okay, so back to the loan calculation. I started with that knowing that in 2026, to Rob's point, in 27 and 28, this is going to be our debt service payment. So there is going to be an increase because of the additional term for interest, or duration for interest, I should say.
And if interest rates drop, we close the loan and reopen another one at a lower interest rate, and we might be back. Also, the number.
Right. Yeah.
That's your thinking, or the bank said it would do?
What's that?
It doesn't matter if it's the bank. I will tell you that when I went to that WTA conference, so what is that, the lands of,
Commissioner.
Yes.
Office of the Commissioner of Public Lands.
that was down to 575.
Yeah, we can close it out anytime we
Anytime.
choose to.
At whatever interval that it is, there's no prepayment penalty that I saw. We've only drawn 150. We're gonna have 150 due within July, just from the basis of the loan
I figured there
structure.
was no interest prepayment, but the bank knows that we need to do that, and they are okaying another loan already.
Excuse me, what?
I'm sorry, I'm not. I just moved here, and I was just wondering, where do I go for voting?
Where do you live?
The house right in front of this building.
You go to the village hall, kitty corner from Jim and Judy's and the fire department over there.
Okay,
You're in
perfect.
the village, just the township.
Okay,
This is
But
the
they
town.
are not open past noon on Fridays. So
Good to
they're open from 8 to 4, I think, Monday through Thursday, and then
Okay,
8 to noon, I believe, on
I'm
Friday.
at a town meeting, and I help you.
sorry. Thank you so much.
Oh, no
I'm so
worries.
sorry for
Oh,
interrupting.
you're good.
No worries.
So with that being said, that's kind of our update on the budget regarding borrowing. Okay,
Keep 145. Okay,
So we're up.
the levy is what? Where you at with the levy?
so the levy is currently $228 and $20. $528,
28.
$528.20.
Okay, so
Okay.
what's next?
So the next
Well, hang on, does the 528 include that 43, we're gonna be 44, we're gonna be short on the other slide?
No.
That's in the 145, 137.
If we borrow, if we close the note, my thinking was is there's a good chance we close the note, pay it
The
off.
528 is just to get us
That's the
even.
levy.
Is to get us $145,000 in the hole. So.
So from there, we determine, okay, what do we need as far as a levy increase potentially to
Correct.
cover that and the 44?
Or
Or,
the additional, so here, this is where budgeting gets a little forecasty, right? So We are currently $145,000 in the hole. Okay, this is our levy, 528. If, going back to the borrowing, we know the year after that, theoretically, if we take out more money, we're gonna be 165 to 186-ish in a window to borrow the remainder of that. There's gonna be a potential of $20,000 more next year that we're short. Okay, so the number next year, theoretically, if everything else stays the same, the number next year would be $20,000 short at the 528,000. Okay, so it'd have to go to 548. If we use all of our emergency management money, right? Because emergency management money that we put down here was
Well, it's not just that, it's if we use everything we have listed,
correct.
you're just
Well,
calling
correct.
out that one line item.
Because that was the one we were gonna try to sole fund at 50, and if we didn't use any, we would not fund via tax the next year, we would use the 50 that's still sitting there. If we
Right,
use
leave it
3,
there.
then the next year would go to 3. So it's not, the 20 in additional debt service may be able to be offset by all of it, but specifically, the one easy line item that we talked about was the emergency management fund. If we don't use any of it, then that 50 stays in general fund.
And we all hope we don't have to use it, but the very definition of the line item.
Correct, yeah.
But the same thing could be said to varying degrees on every other line item if we don't use it or
Correct.
we go over it.
Yes.
Right.
No different than this year, if it doesn't snow until December 11th, the 33 grand we have budgeted could get rolled over into next year's budget to figure out one thing or another, right? Yeah. So all on the same track there. To get us to the point, this includes the levy that we're short, and there's a reason why I've set this up short. To get to where we are here, 528, and be short by 145,000 is because this is borrowing irregardless, right? For road work, one way or the other. To get the rest of the operations and maintenance covered, we need 145,000. This is where this comes into play. Is using the spreadsheet we played with, created, and then played with last year. So our existing net new construction for 2024 is 2.0676%. Okay, our 2023 adjusted 24 levy was 355,471. Okay, if you take that number times that number, we can go up $7,350 from the 355, which puts us at 362. Okay, you add in the personal property tax, take off the personal property tax aid that we get, and our adjusted allowable levy is 362,239. Again, we are at 500 and that minus that 165 4, that's that 164, that's that 500 short 528. Oh, the adjustments in the debt service. Okay. Budget 407,015. 407,015 minus debt service minus 79,81 minus 1.020 676. There we go. It's the adjustment, that's why, it's this number, right? So get a calculator, they can. We are at 528,022 minus 527. Levy limit worksheet 407, 355 minus the debt 51. 5180. We paid it off early.
Right.
51. It's the same one. No, that's the bottom.
We're at, so
51.
2 years ago, we had a $97,000 agreement on the debt service. This year, we just got rid of 50,000. That was old debt service from Little Prairie Road, or it doesn't matter, wherever it was from, we can borrow it. Which is all fine, dandy, we get this road out there, Little Prairie Road, but, now, so that's something that's going away, so, you know, we talk like this 165,000. In manner of speaking, it's not that much. We've been used, I should say, we've been used to it so much, you know, 90,000 more, so it's going up, say, another 90. But we're actually getting something done in the township. You know, getting some roads fixed and taking care of it and stuff like that. It's, it just says it is what it is. That's why all the trees are so hard.
Is the allowable there. Let's see, allowable is 362.
So you have a DPW person?
Well, we got
Or-
Northwest Services.
It's all contracted. We have one employee, and that's her, and she's part-time. We don't have a highway department.
It's all contracted. Yeah,
So if
Northwest Services.
we need something, we call somebody.
Well, we can start thinking about putting a town garage, getting big trucks, and some of that. We're talking,
You just part of it, you're up.
now we got 2 acres, I don't own that farm. I'd love to have that shed over there.
That's right. I'll send you.
Is that 2.06 number correct in there? Is it 0676 or was it 06 something?
See, the levy limit worksheet goes to 2 places, so they've got it at 2.067. Okay, so let's do that then. 2.067.
Might be just around it.
That's, I think, exactly what it is. Because that goes down by $2. 76. Divided by 262. Yeah, it is. It's showing as rounding, but we have to keep it in there to make the equation work. 145, 165, 65 plus 165 more.
So Frank, no new construction this year anywhere in the town?
Well, what we approved on this loan, 450,000 of it's used for roads.
No, that's not what I'm asking. Is there any new building going on in the town?
It grew by 2%.
What
The
is it?
value of our community grew by 2%.
Which is a few million, right?
No. I'm talking about the tax. You're working on your tax levy dollar amount, so that's your mill rate times your equalized value plus any new construction plus any debt service payment.
Right.
So did you have any, you say 2% was new construction that you can add to your mill rate?
Right. That's part of
peanuts.
Yeah, it's $7,350.
That's peanuts.
This guy right here.
And I think we all agree, I mean, it's hit us in the last, we just had the inflation, the price of the
How
fuel,
is that?
everything is just hit us. We can't go off what things cost 4 or 5 years ago, it costs different now, you know, and that's what's getting us, and people don't seem to realize that.
What is your expense this year compared to your expense last year? You know, I'm not trying to bother Josh.
Yeah.
I'm asking you,
Yeah.
let Josh.
Well, I can tell you we're 180,000 over in trees.
Do you expect to have that again this year?
There's a lot of places that need trees.
Depends on what the weather is. That's what caused most of it is trees coming down in storms and tornadoes and snow, heavy snow and stuff like that. So it's tough to predict. That's why we upped the budget for tree service and emergency management, but it's hard to predict what the weather could do to us. And we've talked in the last couple of meetings too, about getting ahead of some of these trees by, you know, as we're repairing roads, go out before it starts and, you know, trim back and cut down trees and be proactive on them, so we're not getting them in emergency situations where we're paying overtime to do it, right?
So he's got.
So that sounds like something that, yes, you cannot control the weather, I get that. But it sounds like something that may not cost us as much in 2025 as it cost in 2024.
Hopefully not. Hopefully not.
So how did you budget that? Same, more, less?
Well, last year, let's just round it off. Last year we budgeted 25,000, and that was to really do what we call a 5-year cut on Tamarack Road. What kills roads, Blue Spring Lake, is all the trees hanging over. They can't breathe. They can't get sunlight to dry them out. If you take a ride down Parallel Trail or Mill Road, that's what's killing them. Hooper Road West. That's so that's what we used the 25 for last year. We budgeted. That was gone. Then suddenly, boom.
So we had 25,000 this year between tree service.
But you must have done a budget amendment, because you know you spent $100,000